Hey everybody, Derek here. I'm here to bring another video for The Walking Dead Season 5. Today I'm going to do my video basically ranking the first 8 episodes of Season 5, basically from 1 to 8, 1 being the absolute best, and 8 not being the worst, just not living up to some of the standards that we might want to see in Walking Dead. Again, one of the things that you always notice about Walking Dead is that when you watch things all at once, it really is a great story that flows together. It's just sometimes I think when you show up to see an episode and you get that, it's like, all right, it was good, but I wanted more of this, this, and this. So I think that that's how I kind of do my rankings when it comes to this. But there were no terrible episodes, in my opinion, here. I would not, in my opinion, I don't think I would put any of these episodes in the top 10 worst. I would have to revisit that after watching every episode again, but I really don't think that I could rank any of these among the top 10 worst episodes of Walking Dead so far. So that much I can say about them. But just in case you guys are not caught up on Walking Dead, there will be spoilers. I'll be mentioning some plot points about each episode. So if you're not caught up, do not watch the video or you might be spoiled. Okay, so we're going to start with number 8. Number 8 I put down as Slab Town. Again, it's not a terrible episode, but I think that, when you watch the whole entire thing, it really is slow. You really do have to be patient to get to the really good parts of the episode. And it also kind of a disadvantage of only having Beth. I knew that there was going to be some kind of an episode like that. I mean, Walking Dead is known for just focusing on a few characters, but I feel like there were more things that they could have done with Beth in this episode. It was more about exploring the group, and I think that she was with a Grady Memorial, and I think that maybe we could have had a little bit more focus on Beth growing as a character, and perhaps making it a little bit more interesting and a little more dramatic throughout. It could have done that a little bit better. But again, it's not a terrible episode at all. Just was a little slow and not much that really is memorable by it, in my opinion. So that I ranked as number 8. Number 7 I have down as Cross. Again, it's not a bad episode, but I just think that, one of the things that you have to remember is that sometimes you have to have those episodes that do, lead to the dramatic, whoa, shocking moments. And that's pretty much what Cross was. But I feel like there were parts of it that they could have made a little bit more interesting. Particularly, some of the parts when they were kidnapping the officers, talking, the talking that was going on between Glenn and Tara and Rosita, some things like that. Just, they were good and they lent well to the plot, but I think that in all, they could have added a little bit more action to this episode, and they could have made it a little more meaningful if they would have done something like that. I felt that, again, it was really filler. Nothing really stood out from that episode overall, so that's why I have it as number 7. Number 6 I have as Self-Help. And the first 6 were basically in the middle. After I got to 2, it was kind of hard to rank these episodes. But one of the things I look at with Self-Help is that it really does a good job of having some of those shocking moments. I mean, Eugene coming out and admitting that, he doesn't have the cure was definitely a very shocking thing. And it was also nice to dig back into Abraham's past and see some of the things that were going on with him. I think that was very helpful. But I think that really what this episode lacked in that the others didn't was the suspense. I mean, you pretty much knew that a lot of things, weren't going to happen at certain points. The ending definitely made up for a lot of the beginning, but I feel like in some ways they could have made it a little bit more suspenseful, dramatic than they actually ended up doing, and perhaps could have explored a little bit more into Abraham in the present, and maybe focused a little bit more on some of the other characters. Could have focused a tad bit more on Glenn and Maggie. So I have that as number 6. Number 5 I have as Strangers, and Strangers is a very good episode. One of the things that I really like about it was, the connections that were made between the various group members. I thought that was a very big plus for the episode. I really liked how they portrayed Bob and Sasha's relationship. That was very nice. And it was also nice seeing Rick, talk with a lot of the characters. Running into Father Gabriel was definitely nice. They definitely did that very, very well. I was very impressed with the quality there. I think some of the things that this episode lacking in was, again, they could have done a better job of perhaps making it a little bit more suspenseful. It doesn't necessarily mean that Walking Dead is not good if it's not suspenseful, but I think that when you have more of those moments when you're on the edge of your seat, I think that those are the better episodes versus when you're just like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Oh, hey, you get what I'm saying. I think that, it was definitely a great written episode, but when you compare it to the other four, there were just a lot of things that it lacked. And I think that they could have done a little bit of a better job with some other developments, with some of the other characters. They kind of focused more on Father Gabriel than I think was necessary, but that's just my opinion. I think they could have focused a lot more on that in the Four Walls and a Roof episode, and I think it would have been just as effective. But again, that's my opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own, and if you disagree with my rankings, don't be afraid to put your own down in the comments with your own reasons. I respect everybody's opinion, and believe me, there are lots of different ways that you can look at this list. I do recognize that. Number 4 is Consumed for me. I just think they really did a great job of character development in this episode. Even though it was only focused on Daryl and Carol, so much happened with them and with Carol that I think it really, lent to the storyline, and it definitely helped build up Carol's character. And that was something that was very important because I really thought Carol was going to die in the mid-season finale and not Beth. I really thought it was going to be her until I saw this episode. And I still thought it was possible, but I also thought that they really helped redeem her character and basically made her appealable again. Because one of the things that you have to realize is that characters that are still left, you have room to work with. You can either make them darker as characters, you can make them go through dramatic experiences and see how they change, kind of like what they're going to do, I think, with Maggie and Daryl, in the next upcoming next half of the season 5, or you can show characters starting to become a little more, either humanized or, accepting some of the things as what they are. And I think that they did a good job with that in Carol, with Carol being able to communicate with Daryl. The flashbacks worked very well. It was a lot of good symbolism. A lot of good symbolism. And I like that. And I think that they really did a great job of making a very, suspenseful episode, definitely chasing after, trying to get Beth. Definitely did a great job of that. And I really just liked the relationship developments with Carol and Daryl. I thought it was great, very well written, and that's why I ranked it within the top 4 over some of these other episodes. So I really enjoyed that. Number 3 for me is Coda. And I know that some people might, maybe rank Coda a little bit lower, and I see some parts where I understand that, but again, I think that they really did a great job, especially in the beginning of that first scene right off the bat of Rick killing Officer Bob. Definitely was great. Very well written. And I also think that nonetheless, you knew from the start that something wasn't gonna go down right. And I think that that's also key, is that when you go into an episode having this sense of, I don't know what's gonna happen, that I think, again, lends to it being a better episode, because I think you knew just deep down inside that something was gonna go wrong. You didn't know what, but something was gonna go wrong. And I really liked, the confrontation that Dawn had with, Officer O'Donnell. I really thought that that was a very good representation of the way that Dawn leads, and I think that was dramatic because you didn't know what was going to happen there. So I thought that was very well. And I also enjoyed seeing Father Gabriel make his development, get back to the church, and just seeing all the things that happened. All the things that happened there. It was nice to see the group get back together, and just the ending completely blows people away. And I think that it really was a great episode overall. May not have had all the things that Too Far Gone has, but I think it's gonna be a while before we see an episode as good as Too Far Gone. I think we're gonna have to like go into season 6 or 7 with and this is a spoiler from the comics, so if you don't know, don't watch. But when the Saviors storyline is introduced, I have no doubt they're going to introduce that into the TV show. I think that has the capability of making an episode just as good as Too Far Gone, if not better. But I think we all knew that this wasn't going to be up to the caliber, and that's okay. You know, that's just the way some of the storylines work out. But I think it did a great job nonetheless. Number 2 is Four Walls and a Roof. And I think that this episode just does a great job of, making you feel connected with the episode. It wasn't the most action-packed episode. That's the thing. There was more action and consumed and self-help than there was in Four Walls and a Roof. Most of it was just, they killed a couple zombies at the beginning and then basically just, are at the mercy of the hunters and just a lot of arguing inside. But I think that the build up to what was going on there was very great as well. These scenes with Bob, Sasha, and everybody else, as we saw that Bob was going to die and sitting there, watching that play out, definitely was great acting and definitely was great storytelling. And I think it definitely, people were able to connect a little bit more with this episode and stay interested throughout the entire time rather than lose interest maybe at certain parts of other episodes. And I think that the shocking part of killing off the hunters definitely summed up how great this episode was. And I had to rank it in the very first, was it the second, the second spot as runner up, because I think it really did a great job of illustrating a lot of those things that we want to see in a Walking Dead episode. And it was just good. The quality of it was great. And, letting go of Bob was definitely sad. Number 1, of course, is going to be the season premiere, No Sanctuary. There's just no doubt about it that no other episode of this season so far has compared to that episode. And I would be willing to rank that one as one of the top 10, maybe Four Walls and a Roof as well. I mean, that was an insane episode. I mean, just the whole entire time you are on the edge of your seat wondering what is going to happen to this group. And I think they did a very good job of, making the suspense with Tyrese and Martin. You knew something was going to go down, but you didn't know what. I think that was great. The whole entire, Carol invading Terminus was absolutely insane. And then seeing Rick just go into beast mode and rescue everybody was just absolutely great. No doubt about it. You spent that whole entire episode on the edge of your seat, just shocked at all of the things that they were doing, and just so much suspense and so much action. You can't deny that is what you want to see out of a zombie Walking Dead episode. No doubt about it. So that is why I put it at number 1. So that is my list. Again, you are welcome to form your own list, and I respect if you don't agree with mine. Let me know. Tell me what you thought I may not have considered with some of these episodes. I absolutely respect everybody's opinion. And I do see why some people might look at an episode in one way and might look at another episode at another. I absolutely do, and I respect that. So don't be afraid to leave your own list, and don't be afraid to comment about mine. Feel free to subscribe. I have more videos coming. If you guys have any suggestions that you would like to suggest for me while we are on break, don't be afraid to do so. I have, again, the Walking Dead Walker kill count will be starting sometime within the next week or 2. Right now I'm doing finals at school, so I'm not really available to be doing that right now, but once I'm done with those, I'll get started on that, as well as I have the Walking Dead near-death experience count coming up as well, to see which character has had the most near-death experiences and which deceased character had the most before they unfortunately met their demise. Very interested for that coming out as well. Thank you all again, everybody, and I really hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.